Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the next edition of Innovative EdTech here at Evolve EdTech. It is wonderful to have you with us again today. If we haven't met before, my name is Tristan. I am the person behind the camera. I am the person behind all of our social media accounts. I am the creator of Evolve EdTech, and I am so privileged to have you here with us again for another edition of Innovative EdTech. So thank you so much for joining us for this episode. Today, we're looking at one of my favorite tools, and that is a tool called Pixton. So today in Pixton 101, bringing comics into the classroom, we are going to go and explore this wonderful tool. This is a rescheduled session that was meant to occur in February 2024. Unfortunately, the life of a teacher got a little bit overwhelming, and it was a little bit difficult to meet the challenge of that particular live stream at the time. So we had to push this back just to late March, but it is here now, ready to be presented and delivered to you as one of our wonderful participants here at Innovative EdTech. So let's jump straight in and get started with this edition. All right, so as I mentioned, welcome. My name is Tristan. Thank you so much for joining us. Innovative EdTech is a series that we have created throughout 2024 to support you with a whole range of tips, tricks, and tools when it comes to using educational technology. So what we're going to do is quickly jump over to the schedule for 2024 and have a look at what else is coming up this year in Innovative EdTech. So let's jump over and have a look at that right now. All right, so we are currently just completing our rescheduled February event right now, but coming up next month in April, we're going to dive into Google Docs. Google Docs is magical, and we're looking at Google Docs Magic, 10 Google Docs tips and tricks every user should know about. So that's coming up in April. Then in May, we're going to look at the power of AI and the amazing, super useful tool that you could access called Twee. And we're going to have a look at how we can use Twee to transform our teaching. Then as we head into winter in June, we're going to go and have a look at another fantastic tool called Book Creator and have a look at how you could incorporate and use that tool in your classroom with your students. So we have some exciting additions and some exciting tools coming up over the next couple of months. So make sure that you are joining us here at Innovative EdTech to find out more about these wonderful tips, tricks, and tools that we share with you each month. All right, let's jump into tonight's edition and get started exploring this wonderful tool, Pixton. All right, what will we be exploring in this edition? Well, I'm going to go over Pixton. What is Pixton so that you have a little bit of an idea if it's a tool that you would like to access and perhaps experiment with yourself. I'm going to quickly go over privacy with Pixton because they are a big believer in ensuring that we are meeting the obligations to support our students. I'm going to take you through signing up and exploring the Pixton Educator dashboard. We're going to create a classroom in Pixton. We're going to explore some of those features. And then I'm going to provide you with some really useful lesson and content ideas, some different ways that you could approach using Pixton in the classroom if this is a tool that you'd like to go and experiment with. I'll then quickly go over the pricing options and plans that are available with Pixton. And then we'll wrap it up with just a short overview of the different ways that you can connect with us here at Evolve EdTech. So we have a jam-packed hour in store, so I think we should stop talking and we should jump right in. So what is Pixton? I have been a big Pixton fan for some time, and Pixton is one of my favorite EdTech tools to use in the classroom. So Pixton, if you haven't heard of it before, is a comic/graphic novel creation website. All right. It is where not only can you as a teacher, but also your students can share and make their own comic strips and graphic novels. So we can make some really fantastic digital comic strips / graphic novels in Pixton for a whole range of purposes. And that is what I'm going to show you tonight. I'm going to show you how easy it is to use Pixton, and hopefully you pick it up and go, I would love to go and try Pixton with my students. It's something that I have used for many, many years. And as I've mentioned, it is one of my favorite tools. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here really emphasizing the purpose and validity of Pixton as a classroom edtech tool. So it can create comics, it can create graphic novel type. It can take, sorry, complete brain fart there. It can create some really great graphic novel type stories, or you can use some of those elements with this amazing tool. So, privacy. Now, Pixton are a big believer in making sure that they are meeting their obligations to ensure that the privacy and the privacy needs of our students are being met. So this information that I am just presenting here on the slides has come straight from Pixton themselves. So Pixton believe, okay, that protection of students is their utmost importance and concern. Pixton is a signatory of the Student Privacy Pledge and is certified COPA and FERPA compliant by iKeepSafe. So if you're in a jurisdiction where they are essential components to allow your students to access and use a tool like Pixton, then you know that Pixton is absolutely certified and they care about the privacy of our students. I'm going to show you a way to really minimize the need for our students to identify themselves in any particular capacity if they are using Pixton within your classroom. But Pixton are really, dedicated to ensuring that our students' privacy and safety is of their utmost concern. So that is a fantastic aspect of this wonderful tool. All right, so let's not stay forever on the admin side of this and just telling you all of these things. Let's get in to actually having a look at Pixton itself. Tonight, we're going to do a very quick tutorial. All right, I'm going to show you Pixton. I'm going to show you the back end. We're going to go and explore. All right, it's not in depth, so you may like to go and explore for yourself so that you can really see all of these features, but hopefully it provides you with enough to get you started. So signing up to Pixton is absolutely free. And as I mentioned, we will look at pricing options later. And there is a reason why you need to consider the pricing options to get the most out of Pixton. All right, so to sign up to Pixton, you just literally head to pixton.com. You create an educator account. The one great thing that I do love about Pixton is that there are options for students to use a Google account, but there's also the option for students to be able to access and use Pixton without the need to create their own account. All right, and I'm going to show you that option today because that is my preferred option when I am using Pixton with my classes. Now, you can access Pixton by using your Google credentials, Microsoft, or Clever. All right. At the moment, there is no option to use your own email address. So you either need to use Google, Microsoft, or Clever account credentials to be able to access and use Pixton at this particular time. And then once you've signed up and once you've completed that process, all right, you will have access to the educator dashboard. So let's jump over. I'm going to head to pixton.com first, just to show you that homepage. And then we'll jump into my educator dashboard so that you can see what it's like from an educator perspective. And then a little bit later, we will jump in and we will have a look at it from a student perspective. So let's not take any longer and let's head over to Pixton and start exploring this magnificent tool. All right, so we are brand new to Pixton and we would like to sign up for a brand new account. So we are going to go to pixton.com. We are going to click just over here on Educator Sign Up. So we're going to click on that. It's going to take us to the sign up page. All right. And it is going to ask us and provide us with the options here as to which potential credential we are going to use. So if you've got a Clever account, if you've got Google or Microsoft, you will choose one of these three particular buttons here. You can also see that they're very, very explicit about being certified by iKeepSafe here, and they do have their terms of use and privacy policy quite clearly identifiable on this sign up page. So you will choose whichever one of those options is best for you, and you will follow that sign up process. I'm not going to do that for you just now, but you will see it's really simple to sign up for Pixton. All right, once you have signed up, you will then have access to your educator dashboard. And it's a really cool dashboard because it actually moves beyond just the digital world of Pixton to looking at how they can incorporate other elements of Pixton in your classroom. And I'm going to explain that in a moment. So obviously we come into our dashboard here. All right. We have a number of different categories and tabs just here. We're currently on Create, which is looking at our comic maker, which is what we will explore a little bit later. We have a look here. We can actually create an avatar, which is a really exciting, fun feature of Pixton, and I will show you why that's exciting in a moment. So there are actually a whole heap of different elements that you can customize there. I don't know if this looks like me. I don't care that much. I just do this for a little bit of fun here. You will see here your classrooms. So this is where you will be able to access any classrooms that you have created. So you can see here that I have a number of different classrooms that I have used in the past. All right. Yes, you can probably see student login links here, but they will be completely useless to you if you decide to go to those. So don't stress about the fact that you can see those right now because they're completely useless to you. All right, so we also have, if we head back to Create here, we have staff photos here, so we can invite fellow staff to create fun memories there. I haven't tried that before. All right, and we have content packs. All right, so there are a variety of different content packs available, which look at particular things here. So we've got particular kind of concepts like restaurants, spooky stories, and then we have particular focuses on text or historical events, etc. So we've got Mary Poppins, World War II, Hatchet. If you have read that particular novel before, you'll find lots of Shakespeare's there. Okay, you'll find a whole heap of content packs, but I'm going to explain to you the easiest way to be able to access these content packs for the cheapest price, because these content packs actually do require an additional financial contribution in order to be able to access these. And I will show you how we do that a little bit later. All right, in addition, you do also have access to some resources, some lesson ideas, some introduction to comics, which is great, some story starters. All right, a whole heap of different things there, some printables with a whole range of graphic organizers, okay, even classroom displays that you can access there. And that is what I'm saying, is that Pixton moves beyond just being a digital resource to actually providing you with resources that you can use in a whole range of other different ways to make those connections between Pixton and your classroom even stronger. We do have our classrooms there, which we've looked at before. You can also have a look at your own comics. All right, so these are some comics that I have created. I always like to, when I am introducing Pixton to a class, I always demonstrate how to use Pixton and complete and, deliver a small tutorial by actually creating a comic for them. And sometimes I will actually create the comic that I'm actually getting the students to do as well. So I will actually complete the same task as them, just because I think it's nice for the students to see that I am also facing challenges and making decisions for this particular task, just like them. So I will also do that as well sometimes. And then we've got my characters here. So obviously this is where we can make our own characters. All right. So if we would like to be able to create specific characters, we can do that. So my character is an adult. Oh my gosh, they can be an animal. Okay, let's go a person. All right, let's go a male. All right, we can choose them. All right, so all of the same elements that come from setting up your avatar, and you can create your character. Oh gosh, I hope they're wearing underwear there. That's hilarious. So you can create a whole range of characters that you should be able to use, and we'll find out if we can use those when we jump into creating our own comic. All right, so that is your dashboard. That was a very quick verbal diarrhea explanation of the dashboard, but essentially it's really simple to use and navigate, that you shouldn't have too much trouble being able to find what you need in the dashboard and getting that ready for your students to use. In fact, the comic maker is probably the main element that you are going to utilize for this particular EdTech tool. So let's head into the comic maker. And this is where, oops, I take that back. That's where we're making our comments, but we would like to go to our classrooms. Live presentations, you always make a boo-boo as you do in the classroom. So we actually want to head in now and start creating our own classrooms. This is where we will get our students to start creating their comics, and creating a classroom makes it a little bit nicer for you because all of the comics for that particular class are in that classroom. So if I go just here to this particular class from 2022, you will see that I have all of my students here. And if I don't know if this class actually did complete this or whether this was because, no, I think that was during a COVID period. Let's go to this one just here. Yep, so this particular class has used this particular classroom because they all have their avatars here. So you can see here that some of them have been a little bit funny, all right, and they've really experimented with their particular avatar. So if I click on this one here, which was me, you can see here that this is the comic that because I was this pretend student, I created, all right? So that is what I like about Pixton and using the classrooms, is that you are able to see and access all of the students' comics, all right, in one nice, simple, easy to access location. So here's just another layout essentially, and we can see all of the comics there. And you can also see who's put a little bit of effort in and who's done absolutely nothing, which is really great with this particular view in Pixton. All right, so let's say that you would like to create a new class. All you do is head up here to the top right-hand corner to New Classroom. You click on that. You choose a name for your class. So let's call this Sample Class, or let's call this Evolve EdTech. Evolve EdTech Sample. Don't know if I'm going to, oh, no. So Evolve EdTech Sample. Then you choose the grade for your particular class. So let's say that this is year 9. Okay, continue. Choose the subject that it relates to. All right, I am an English teacher. We have some options for the student avatars, whether we allow wheelchairs, hearing aids, non-binary gender, or toon avatars. Okay, so you can decide if you'd like to put these as inclusions or not for your students when they come to creating their avatars. This one is interesting. I haven't seen this one in this much detail, and I think it's a really great one to have here. So there are some options to allow for different elements to be available to your students. So if you are working in a particular setting, or you've got a particular clientele or socioeconomic background or something that might trigger your students or might be considered inappropriate, you can reduce and minimize the access to those through this particular section here. So weapons, conflict, faith and religion, gender and sexual expression, organs and bones, smoking and revealing outfits, and you can disable the class photo and access to classroom avatars. So your students can actually use each other's avatar in their stories. So you can decide if you'd like to include these as options or if you would like to turn those off. So I'm going to leave them, which means they will all be on for my students, okay? But that is completely up to you if you'd like to turn those off. All right, so this is where I was talking about one thing I do really love about Pixton is that there is an option for students to access and use Pixton. So your students can use their Google IDs here if you would like to set that particular element up, all right? So that they can actually do this and they will be able to join using their Google IDs, okay? Now, it's not something that I like to use because I just prefer my students to make this as simplistic as possible for my students to access. So what I prefer to do, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this now because I think I can do this here. Let's have a look here. What I prefer to do is I prefer to go, nope, I'm going to have to do this again. I prefer to go with the second option, which is actually getting Pixton to create some codes and names, IDs for my students. Okay, some usernames is what I'm trying to think of there. I was having no idea. My brain was not computing today. So I prefer to use this one here. So students will go to the logon link, which you just briefly saw, and then they will have a unique class code, okay? And they'll have a unique class, well, they won't have a code, but they'll have a unique name, okay, which will be linked to their class. And they will use that to be able to enter and access their comic platform, all right? Hope that made sense. So we will go here, and this is where we will add our students. All right, so you can add your students here. So let me go Elizabeth. I'm going to add a few of my teacher friends here. Kerry. Okay, we're going to go Cheryl. We'll go Janice. All right, and you can just keep adding your students to your particular class. Then you click continue. All right, the class URL will come up and appear here, okay? It does say that in a moment you'll see it'll tell us to keep this private, but it won't matter if you go to this link after this recording because I will actually delete this particular comic just for safety and privacy. So that will be the URL that you will provide the students and they will go to that URL. So if we copy that particular URL and we go to a new browser tab, our students will end up at a page that looks like this, all right? On this page, okay, it will say, hello, students, enter the username your teacher gave you, all right? So each of our students will have their own username, and you can access those just here in print instructions. And what I like to do to make this also easier for myself is I've actually created a page in Microsoft Word, and I've just popped in normally I just pop in the URL for the class page, and then I just pop in each individual username for my students with their names so that I can hand those pieces of paper to each individual student rather than doing what we're just about to see. So you will see here that all of your students and all of their usernames will appear, okay, just like this. It's probably really hard to get around to every student and provide them with their username. So these little slips that I have will make it nice and simple, and you'll be able to do it really, really quickly. So I know it does say here to be security smart and only share a student's username with that student. But as I mentioned, I will delete this particular page once we have completed the demonstration. So it doesn't really matter if you head over to that URL. You're not going to get very far tonight. I'm so sorry, but that is just to make sure that we are safe and that my account is also safe. So let's go and let's take one of these URLs here. Let's take my good friend Kerry. I'm sure she is joining us for this edition. I'm going to head back to Pixton. I'm going to pop, I think my account has just decided to have a little moment. I might just close that one. Don't you love it? Let's head back to let's head back and see if this works this time. All right, so we're going to pop that in just there, and we are going to log in. All right, so now we're actually in the background, and we're actually in the student view, which is really useful. So the first thing that it's going to ask you to do is to create your own avatar. All right, because we did allow for that to happen. So we will very quickly choose and create an avatar. All right, there are so many options here. All right, so we can go through and change all of these different elements. Okay, so we're just going to very quickly go through this. All right, you can choose, let's choose Kerry's hair. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Kerry, you're going to today, you can have this hair. Okay, this is not what Kerry's hair looks like, but she is today. So you can choose your eye shape. There's a whole heap of different elements that you can choose and customize to create your own essential personality. A lot of students like to try and create themselves. Some students, might go and create an alter ego, and that is fine, and that's okay. So we might give Kerry a nice kind of Elton John look to her glasses there. Okay, the lips there, we won't worry about that. We'll give her some studs for earrings. All right, and we will just keep moving through so that we can create her avatar just there. Some different expressions, maybe how she looks after her. What she looks like after she has year 8 might be a good expression just there. We might give her a nice, a nice dress there. And we will then finish. We can decide what kind of height our avatar is, and that comes into a little bit of importance when it comes to our class photo, which I will show you in a moment. It is one thing that I do love about Pixton is every single one of your student avatars will appear in a class photo, which is really nice because it's just a little memento that you could provide the students, print it off in color, laminate it, do whatever you'd like to do, and give those to your students. You can download a headshot here. Okay, you can do a full body shot as well if you would like. So now every time one of your students creates their avatar, it's going to appear here in the class photo, which is so cute. All right, so let's jump in. All right, so we have a couple of very similar tabs just here compared to our educator dashboard. We can create a comic. We also have the ability to browse some ideas. We can create our own characters here as well, just like we could in the educator dashboard. And you can find and see the class photo here. And you can see here that we can create one for our Google Classroom banner. We can have a traditional photo. We can change the theme. So we've got a science photo here. Okay, so there's, I just took myself out there. I think I changed my outfit there. Randomize outfits. There you go. That is so cool. So there's so many other little interactive elements. I will say, though, that just make sure you let your students know not to spend too much time on their avatar because they will just love it to death and they will just stick with it for ages if you don't put a time limit on creating their avatar. Just a little tip. Trust me, I know because I have experienced this once or twice before. All right, so let's jump in as Kerry and start creating our comic. So what we have here is we have our essential dashboard that we are going to create. Now, I am a paid subscriber to Pixton. I have paid for 1 month so that I can demonstrate how to use Pixton to you. I will demonstrate and show you how to access Pixton for a full school year, which I think is much better value, and you can use it for more students in more classes, and I'll explain and show that to you shortly. But if you are a free subscriber, all of these particular backgrounds and a lot of these different elements will have a little lock symbol on them, which means that you won't be able to access those. All right, so just be aware that a lot of the best features in Pixton are only available once you start to pay for them. All right, so that's only one of the small downfalls of Pixton. All right, so over here on the right-hand side, we've obviously got our panel, okay? We do have our storyboard here. We can add additional panels here, okay? So you can add those, all right? You can do all the normal things, clear them, duplicate, copy, okay? You can move those panels, and I'm pretty sure, no. So you can move your panels, all right? So you can decide which position you would like that panel to be placed in your particular order here. We do have some options down here, so we can change it to daytime. We can change whatever our background is to nighttime. All right, we can here make it a flashback, and we can also look at some different color filters as well. All right, so there are a number of different options that you can use for each of your particular frames to really individualize them and make them absolutely visually stunning. So let's head up to our first tab here over on the left-hand side, which is background. So this is where we are going to start to create our comic, our scenes, deciding what our particular comic or graphic novel is going to be about. So we have a whole heap of background scenes here that we can choose from. We have some options up the top here of common scenes that people might be using, home, and then it breaks it down even further into different rooms. If you're looking for something specific, you can come up here to the search bar. So let's do something like airport. All right, so rather than searching through all of those different backgrounds, just by heading up to that search button will make it a little bit more efficient and quicker for you. So let's maybe say here we pop this one in here. So we're just going to click on it. It's going to pop it into our scene. All right, because we put a color over here, it's going to look at the moment orange. So let's turn that off. All right, let's make it daytime. Oh, it is daytime. Let's make it nighttime. Okay, so you can see that the color is changing based on whether it's day or night or whether you have used a color option for the background. But let's just leave it on daytime for the moment. So we're in an airport. I've got this one on my second panel accidentally. All right, so if I'd like to move that to the first, all right, I can just go move panel. Okay, and this is going to be panel number 1. And that's moved it up to the first panel option over here in my storyboard. If I'd like to make my background a little bit abstract, so if I go to another panel here, okay, I might turn that one off or go to abstract. Maybe I would like to do something here like this arrow. So maybe the arrow and the story is pointing in a particular way. All right, we do have some further options here. Okay, we didn't want that. All right, so we can use those particular elements. We can also add, I keep clicking on a different section over here. All right, we can add weather to our particular scenes. Okay, so if we'd like some rain, all right, we can add that particular element there. So we've obviously got some flowers and some rain there. So you can do that as well. You can also get your students to upload their own photos, all right, so that they can do that there. All right, so I don't know if Kerry's head's going to be able to come in here. Let's find out. So we can pop Kerry's own head in there, okay, which is really cool. So that's from the very beginning when we created her avatar. So it's really easy to be able to create your backgrounds, okay, and it's really easy to find different backgrounds using the search button just here. So the backgrounds, one of your first options that you are probably going to explore when you are using Pixton. All right, let's head over to characters. Okay, in this comic, we can add our characters. We can add a person, okay? So we have a range of characters here, okay? You can customize these a little bit as well. So let's pop this person in here. All right, we can change their age, okay? We can change their gender. We can change their size, okay? So that we are accommodating for all different types of people, all right? We can look at real people, okay? So real people personalities, perhaps, no, they're all definitely real. We have literary people, so literary characters, okay, that have come from a range of texts that you can also use here. All right. And you can also create your own custom characters, which is fantastic. So if there's a character that your students are looking for that isn't really appearing in their search, they can create their own characters. We can add a tune. I have never seen this before. This is definitely probably one of those newer elements since I last used Pixton. So we can add a tune, which looks really cool here. And again, you will be able to customize these. So you can change their outfits, you can change their colors, their age, etc. So with all of these, there are additional elements that you can customize and change, which is fantastic. Now, I do know that there is a limit as to how many people you can actually add to a scene. So just be aware that you can't just have an unlimited amount of characters, and we can actually move the characters within our scene. So just by clicking on them and dragging them, and you can see here, okay, that, oops, all right, we can move them around our scene, which is fantastic. All right, we can also add a creature. All right, so we can add a whole range of different creatures. Again, we do have our search bar here. So if we're looking for a particular type of creature, we do have some different categories that you can also go and access to pop in some creatures that might be relevant to your particular story. Look, there's Humpty Dumpty. It is almost Easter time here. And I don't know about other places in the world, but we do have a chocolate here at Easter time that is a Humpty Dumpty egg. And I think that's just fitting that he is in there. So hopefully he doesn't fall and crack too soon. But there is Humpty Dumpty for us. So there's a whole heap of different options and different people and characters that you can add to your scenes, which is really exciting. And they're all customizable, which is fantastic. All right, let's head over to our objects. So this is where we can start to add some objects. We can add some handheld props. So we can actually provide our characters with a prop. We can decide whether it's in their left hand or their right hand. Again, we can search for a particular object. So at the moment, I'm on the raccoon here because we have the yellow outline around him. So let's give him an onion, a spring onion. Okay, completely random there, but we can pop that in there. Let's pop that into their left hand instead so we can see it. Oh, hang on. Nope, we're going to pop something else. Let's pop a radish into their left hand. They do like their vegetables. Nope, that went into their right hand. Okay, so that is how we change our props. Okay, we also do have other props which we will be able to include in our particular scene. We can pop in let's pop in this particular beach ball. There we go, Humpty Dumpty. Okay, there might be a whole range of different things that you include. All right, there's a cake. So maybe, oh, the cake's changed. So there we go. We have a cake. We can also include some graphics, which is great. So maybe we're trying to refer to something specific. So, you know, maybe something in the comic has happened, and then we're using this particular moment, okay, this particular graphic to really emphasize this particular element of the scene, okay? All right, we can change our focus, and this is where we start to have a look at some of those film techniques, okay? Some of those different ways that we can present our characters, okay? So we can have, obviously, a full shot there. We can have a mid shot with our characters, all right? So we've got Humpty a little bit closer, so we really emphasize them, okay? We can, all right, this one is showing me that this will be the focus will be on this particular character, and we can have a real close-up of a character as well. Oops, that's because they're behind there somewhere. So you can see that you can change those focuses, okay, using those film technique elements to create different panels within our storyboard. We can be dramatic as well, so we can actually have some of those different types of elements, which is really cool. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here. Okay, so we've got a head tilt. All right, we've got, a little bit of drama here. So maybe there's some conflict or something's about to happen. All right, we can look at our location as well. So let's have a look here and see what this does. Okay. All right, so I'm not sure exactly what that did there, but you can see that that is an option there. You can also see that whenever you click on something, it generally takes you back to the relevant tab over here on the left-hand side. So if you find that you have just accidentally pressed something and it's taken you back, it's because it is making the assumption that that is something that you are probably going to want to change and edit. All right, we can add speech as well, which is fantastic. So we have a speech bubble, a thought bubble. We have shouting and whispering. We have accents. We can do maths as well, if that is what you are looking for. We can add captions to our panels, okay, which we know is an element of a graphic novel or a comic. So we can include those elements within our particular projects. We can change the backgrounds of those as well. All right, and we can also now add sounds. This is something brand new that I haven't really experimented with, but obviously if we are creating a comic in a genuine sense, we know that we'll always have some onomatopoeia in there, and we can pop those types of sounds into our panels to really emphasize that to our reader. All right, let's head over to faces. Again, we can customize the faces and expressions of our characters. Okay, so we have the search panel here, so we can look for a particular type of facial expression. All right, so a happy medium, and we can change those as well. We can change the eye direction so that the characters are looking at each other or looking away or doing something specific. So you can also customize those. There's so much customization available in Pixton that your students shouldn't be stuck. They should be able to find something. It might not be exactly what they are looking for, but they should be able to find something to create a comic or a graphic novel that meets the project criteria. So you can customize those quite easily for all of those different characters. And then we have actions. So we have different body poses. All right. So again, we can change those different body poses. So we can have left and right, and we can also have front on body poses for our particular characters. So at the moment, I am doing this particular change for this toon character here. So maybe they're shouting or screaming, and we can actually model and represent that. Not in this particular panel. Maybe I change it to this one. All right. And we'll be able to see that with that particular character. So let's go and have a look here. So you can choose your character, change that action, and now my character's action and appearance is hopefully going to change. Let's go back to this one. Let's have their hands in the air, just like they don't care. There we go. So you can do that as well. You can also add some different effects, which are fantastic. Okay, so maybe we've got a particular type of story that's happening. All right, you can do that. So that was a really quick orientation of all of these different elements, but essentially everything that you need to create your panels, to create your comics, are available over here in the left-hand panel. Okay, background, characters, objects, focus, words, faces, and actions. All right, they're all available over here. Pretty much every single thing is customizable. So even if your students can't get 100% what they're looking for, they should be able to get pretty damn close. So just encourage them to keep experimenting, and just encourage them that obviously when it comes to creating a comic or a graphic novel, that sometimes we have to make artistic choices that might go and might not be what we originally thought or planned, but that is what really makes up the creativity element of using Pixton to create a comic or graphic novel. Obviously, we know over here we can add our panels, we can rearrange them, we can clear them. All right, we can do all of these normal type of features. We can download our images. All right, we can do all of those different things as well. All right, so let's say that we have completed our comic. All right, we just come up here to the top right-hand corner, and we click on done. All right, we're going to name our comic. So let's say my first comic, and then we are going to continue. All right. Now, the really great thing about this as well is that just because we have done this doesn't mean that we can't edit it. So we can look at some coloring here. Okay, so we can change that into a little bit of a coloring activity. We can download it, okay, which is fantastic. So we can download it in a number of different comic formats. We can print it, all right, if you'd like to print that for a particular purpose. And we can share that as well. So there's a number of different ways that we can also share our comics, okay? And we can do that here by sharing that share link, all right? Okay, you can also head back up here to edit, all right, which will take you back into the comic creation dashboard, essentially. So you can go back in there and you can continue to change and edit and really customize that particular comic for your project needs. All right, over here, we do have a couple of 3 dots. All right, we can duplicate this if we'd like to use the base again to start again, or we can delete this comic as well. All right. Now, if we head back over here to the left-hand side, I'm currently just hovering over this, this red arrow, and it will take me back to my dashboard. And this is where you will see my comic just here. So every comic that a student creates, this is where you will be able to find those comics within the student dashboard. Okay, just remember we're in the student dashboard at the moment. So your students will be able to see all of their comics just here. All right, now, if I head back to the educator dashboard, if I head back to my dashboard as a teacher, okay, I am in my class. All right, I can see here that Kerry has created her avatar. So that means that she has created her comic, and I can come in here and I can look at her comic. All right, I can have an exploration. All right, I can also, I believe, if I can find it, I can also create a rubric if I would like to be able to assess this particular. I can somewhere, and it's been a little while since I've done this, but I can also leave some feedback. So there is the option to also leave some feedback, okay, so that Kerry can identify what she might need to work on or what she might need to do in future when it comes to creating a really outstanding comic that meets the criteria for the particular project or assessment that you are getting your students to complete. So that was just a really quick introduction to Pixton. It's probably something that would be worth going through and looking at all of those different elements in much more detail and at a much slower pace than I've gone through today. So that is Pixton. It's one of my favorite tools. It's so simple. The kids love it. Probably spend a week, maybe 2 weeks on your project, just so your students have enough time to explore as well as create the perfect comic or graphic novel for your particular project that you might be exploring and asking your students to create. All right, so that is Pixton. All right, what I do want to go and do is I do want to just head over to Pixton. Now, I don't know if it's going to like this just now because I am logged in. I'm hoping this is the correct one. All right. So let's pop in here. Oh, I don't want to quote. And quickly go and have a look at the pricing options from Pixton. Okay, so there are a number of different pricing options. Okay, so you can grab one here. This, oh, hang on. Let's go. Let's not use that one because that one's not very helpful. Let's go here. Let's go. I don't think it's going to like me because I'm logged in at the moment. Hang on. Have I got pricing here? Have I got pricing here? Let's see if this likes me. Okay. Oh, it's doing this again. I don't want to quote. I don't want to quote. Okay. It's asking me for a quote there. All right, let me log out. Let me log out, and we will go and have a look at the pricing options. Unless I can get to the pricing options here. Don't you love it? Live presentations and things just are hilarious sometimes. So let's go here. And this is the problem that I find all the time with presenting something, is that when you are already logged in, you can't really generally get to those particular areas that you're looking for. So let me see, let's go Pixton pricing again. Essentially, when it comes to the pricing with Pixton, there are options to be able to get it by the month, but there's also an options for a 12-month. Okay, if I was going to use it, I'd be getting the 12-month option because it is much cheaper, okay, than getting and paying for it by the month. I paid for it by the month at the moment because I'm not sure when I will actually be using it this year. So if you are going to use Pixton, all right, I would be paying for it for 12 months. So just have a think about that. It's probably easier for you to go and explore that and have a look at that. There is an option for a package that doesn't include students. So you'll be able to create comics that you might use with your students. But I would go for the classroom option so that you're able to use this with your students. And I think it was about $144, don't quote me, US dollars per year, which I don't think is too bad. So go and have a look at that if you're interested in subscribing to Pixton, and have a look at those pricing options. I'm sorry that I can't get to those pricing options. It is a little bit frustrating when they are challenging to access sometimes. So go and have a look at those pricing options and see if it's something that you might be able to afford or access, so that you can use this amazing tool. All right, so very quickly before we finish off this evening, let's head over and just look at some very quick ways that you could use Pixton as a teacher in the classroom. So a couple of ways that you could use this really amazing comic and graphic novel tool. So the first one is you might be looking at social issues, and you might get your students to create a comic that explores some of those social issues, such as poverty or homelessness or climate change. We could look at obviously creating graphics and creating comics or graphic novels, which is obviously the whole purpose of Pixton. We could create text summaries or chapter unit summaries, okay, if we're looking at a text in English, or if we're looking at a particular concept in geography or science, we might be able to create a graphic summary. We can create engaging social stories. So if we need to provide some information on a situation or scenario, we could possibly create that with Pixton. We could create a visual biography or an autobiography. Okay, what a great way to get our students to use a range of skills by creating a visual biography or autobiography. You might get your students to present a visual overview of a historical period or a historical event using Pixton, and using some of those different elements to represent and explore their knowledge of that particular historical period. You might even be able to demonstrate and create some student activism and voice by creating comics for particular purposes. A great way for our students to have some authority, and also to be able to have some autonomy over what they are creating. You might be able to explore some social and emotional learning. So if you're doing some guidance lessons, or you're doing some mentoring or supporting of students, you might be able to create some resources that your students might be able to use and access through Pixton. You might be able to use it to explore mathematical concepts or science experiments, okay, getting our students to represent these in a different way through a comic or graphic novel. You might be able to model behavior expectations and demonstrate some of those requirements or behaviors that you expect your students to demonstrate. Okay, if you're a positive behavior for learning school, or you're doing something like that, Pixton, a great way to demonstrate and model those for your students. You may also be able to use Pixton for advertising and promotion, so that your students are able to share and create something that they are able to deliver and present. So they are just some options, okay, that you could look at when it comes to using Pixton. Obviously, it's unlimited, it's endless. There are so many things that you could do with this amazing tool. And like I always say, I really encourage you to just go and experiment and explore these tools to see if they're right before you go and make a financial commitment and add them to your teacher toolkit. All right, well, that brings us to the end of this particular Innovative EdTech episode. We've made it through. I know that was so super quick, and I would love to delve into this in much more detail, and it's something that I will look at exploring a little bit more over at Evolve EdTech in the future, because I love Pixton, and it is a tool that I use and I will continue to use. So you have my recommendation when it comes to this tool, but make sure it fits and suits you first. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sticking with us for the past 50 odd minutes as we've gone very quickly and we've introduced you to Pixton today. And I hope you can see that it is an amazing, innovative, and it is an engaging tool that your students will love. All right. Well, if you have been with us here at Evolve EdTech for a little while, you will know that this month in March 2024, we have been exploring the EdTech power-ups. We've been sharing a new idea to power up your EdTech each day this month. So make sure you check that out on our Facebook page as well as on our Instagram page to go and check out those EdTech power-ups. And don't forget that we do have our podcast, the Evolve with EdTech podcast, which is where you will find an audio recording of this episode. Okay, that will be there shortly once that has been edited, and that will be uploaded to our podcasting host and distributed to all of those podcast hosts that you probably access. So make sure you go and check out the Evolve with EdTech podcast if you are looking to listen to this episode today as an audio recording. And that brings us to the end. All right, that is the end of this episode of Innovative EdTech. Don't forget that you can connect with us. You can connect with us on Facebook, Instagram. We are on TikTok. We are on X. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like this video. Please like it. All right, it does help us, okay, make sure that we are able to provide you with more content to help you with your EdTech journeys. Well, that's it for this particular episode of Innovative EdTech. Next month, okay, heading into April 2024, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have a look at the magic of Google Docs. If you haven't gone and explored the Google Workspace ecosphere, you are missing out. Google Docs is a wonderful tool, and we're going to explore 10 tips and tricks that every Google Docs user should know. So make sure you join us on April 8th at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time for the next episode of Innovative EdTech. Anyway, my name is Tristan. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been an absolute, whirlwind of an introduction to Pixton this episode, but I hope that you have seen that this is a really powerful tool that you can use in your classroom. Well, that's it for this episode. Stay safe, everybody, and I can't wait to see you again next month for our next episode of Innovative EdTech. Until then, everybody, see you later.